Equilibrium. Equilibrium is about bringing supply and demand together. Let us review. Previously, we talked about factors that affect the demand. The first and foremost, most important part is the price of the product itself. The price of the product itself will affect the quantity demanded. However, there are other variables that also will impact it. For example, the consumer's income, the price of substitute goods, the price of the complementary goods. Also, consumers' preferences based on advertising or other influences. Finally, the consumer's expectations about future prices will affect their decisions today. The other side of the story is the supply. What affects the supply? Well, first and foremost, the price of the product itself. However, the cost that the firm incurs, primarily wages to the workers, prices for the materials, cost of capital, as well as taxes and other payments, will all increase the cost and therefore affect the supply. Also, the state of production technology is important, and expectations about future prices. Bringing it all together brings us to market equilibrium. Here on the graph, we'll see the downward sloping demand curve according to the law of demand. The higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded, and the upward sloping supply curve, which is red, it says that the higher the price, the higher the quantity supplied. If you notice, they might not be necessarily straight lines, but what is important that one is downward sloping and the other one is upward sloping. There will be only one point where these two curves will intersect. This point is known as the market equilibrium. Market equilibrium is a situation in which the quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied given the prevailing price. So let's review a couple of situations where market forces at work will force the new equilibrium. Let's say originally market was in an equilibrium and then we experienced a decrease in supply. Maybe because of the natural disaster, a plant had to shut down. What you would see is that the whole supply curve will shift inward or to the left, which represents a decrease in supply. As you see on the graph, there is now a new point where supply and demand curve intersect. That will happen now at higher prices and lower quantities. So the new equilibrium will have higher prices that will take care of the imbalance that originally occurred when we experienced a shock in supply. The flip side of this story is, say, increase in demand. Increase in demand is a situation where at any given price, consumers now demand more. So you will see the whole demand schedule is now shifted to the right, which represents increase in demand. The resulting new equilibrium will have higher prices and higher quantities sold in the market. So the difference between those two situations, the decrease in supply and increase in demand, is that the equilibrium quantities in the market will be different. In the first situation, it was a lower quantity traded. In this situation, it's higher quantity traded. So we can play an investigator. If we know that prices in the market have risen, that could have been a result of two possible scenarios, either decrease in supply or increase in demand. To answer which one of those situations it was, we have to see what happened to the quantities traded in the market. If the quantities indeed went up, that the solution is an increase in demand.